Alrighty, guys, I have a very special guest right now. I'm going to let him introduce himself. But one of the things that he is, he's a vice president of a major company, and he's actually younger than I. So that's even more impressive because a lot of people I hook up with like the fact that there's these young guys that are hooking up with all these multimillionaires, six-figure earners, seven-figure earners, celebrity, all kinds of things, just building networks and adding to their lives. So Joel's one of those people that likes to add value, and that's one of the reasons why he's here. He wants to teach a lot of people with his knowledge and a lot of his expertise and his information of how he's been able to do so much navigating the waters of life at a young age, right? And Joel,
Yes.
I think I'll let you go from there
Yeah.
for
Yeah, you
yourself.
kind of you kind of hyped me up too much. Like you said, my
I
name is
don't
Joe
think so.
Montiel, and no, yeah. And yeah, right now I'm the VP of sales at the Quack Brothers, which, right now we're a startup, we're a new company, but you mentioned major corporation. That's I don't know if corporations what we're trying to hit, but we definitely want to expand, and we're continuing to grow right now, and it's really exciting what we're doing. But yeah, I mean, just quick little summary of me and where I'm at and where I come from. Both parents, immigrated from Mexico, to come to this great country that we live in today and
Likewise.
in search of more opportunity. And, I'm sure there's a lot of people that, come from immigrant families that kind of relate for me, but, growing up, it's very, I was always very family centered, and that was always a good thing. And I kind of just maneuvered around with that. Going to high school, my parents moved us out to a nice little suburban area, a lot of white folks and safe neighborhood. It was good, it was awesome. And my dad came from absolutely nothing, and compared to like where he's at, like when people from home look at him where he's at right now, what he's done, he did construction all his life. Like he's like the definition of success. Like if you were to look from where he's come from, super proud of him. Super proud son as well. But yeah, going to high school, and I kind of just, high school was never my thing, or school in general was never my thing. I can't say high school because you kind of have to go through it, but I just early on noticed that, I wanted to do something different. I was always like going against what everyone else was doing, which is
Yeah.
one of the big reasons why I love Kanye West, to give him a shout out here, because he's
Mm.
always like going against the grain. But I just kind of noticed myself doing the exact opposite of what I saw cousins do or classmates and stuff like that. And I got really lucky, and I'll give all the glory to God for this. He's always put me in the right spots, in the right place, in the right time. It's crazy. But I got introduced to sales my junior year in high school. I was part of a co-op where it allowed me to get class credit in high school to actually work. And like it blew my mind. I was like, wow, I'm getting paid to get class credit. I leave school early. Like this is the best thing freaking ever. And that's when I got my first job in sales through an insurance agency at State Farm. And that's when I just got opened up to like just money, business, foundational work,
Hmm.
mindset stuff. And from there on out, I met a couple of brothers, the Quack brothers. You met one of them, Danny, who's one of my biggest mentors now. That I run the sales team in the company now. A couple of real estate investors that did real good. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. We have a couple of real estate investing educational real estate investing educational online course that we have. We do very heavy on a specific strategy where we help people pay off debt. And then right now, we just finished building our real estate investing fund. So we're actually starting to deal with accredited investors, and doing a lot of new development and real estate investing projects down in Florida, actually where you're at. So yeah, that's where
Miami.
I'm at right now. It's a really quick boom 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 kind of story of where I'm at, and yeah, it's been great. It's been fun. I think we both can give God glory for where we're at right now at our age,
Always.
but
My gosh, man.
it's only getting freaking started, man. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited, to be honest with you.
I think if it wasn't for God, man, I'd be either in jail at this point, or I would have gotten like, no, I'm not even playing with you, man, or I would have gotten
Yeah,
like hurt really badly, so that I could have been dead, to be honest with you, along the way.
yeah. You know what?
So
It's
God
funny
is
that
God is the only reason. Go on,
I,
please.
bro, I'm so with you. I always have this conversation with my girlfriend Catalina. Shout out to her if she watches this video. I'll have her watch it. But we always talk about like where would we be without God. And I always like, man, I don't know. I think I'd still work hard because I think like the Mexican work ethic that was instilled, like no matter
Hispanic.
what, that yeah, Hispanic, there you go. That was always there. But I think I'd be very responsible with my money. I'd be probably one of those guys that is probably blowing money on the newest trucks, newest cars, things like that. Just, someone with money. I think I'd still have money, but I think I
Cervezas,
just,
yeah, no. Drinking,
yeah,
yes or
no,
no?
you know
Yeah.
what,
I
maybe,
was
I
never
think,
much of a drinker. I know a lot of people that are. I've met all kinds of people and all kinds of things. We've
yeah,
talked before a little bit, so we've
yeah,
talked a little bit together, and I wanted to give you your own episode. I think we click, and I'm like, you know what? Me and this guy. Um, when I went to Harvard, one of the things that I learned from Professor Wheeler is that in any kind of a relationship, there's going to be two people. There's
yeah,
always going to be, you get me, an agreement reached that is mutually beneficial for both parties, where they're
oh,
able
for
to create
sure.
agreements and value for both, where they're better off having that than versus not ever having that. So
Hmm.
going to Harvard and understanding that and walking into the world with that mindset, you get me, then building all these relationships, kind of walking
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
I'm like, you know what? Let me work with Joel. Let me try to build a relationship with him
for
because
sure.
I honestly think you get me and Joel, we have a lot of stuff in common. We've talked
Oh
about it
yeah.
before where it's like we're both Hispanic, we're both very big on Jesus Christ as Lord and
Oh, for
Savior. Let's go
sure.
save some souls. Let's go
Amen.
save, you get me, other people from poverty. Let's allow them to become wealthy. Let's allow them to become more successful.
For sure.
And Joel, being 20 years old, you get me, he's one of those people that he works really, really diligently. He's reading books, he's surrounding himself with experts. I mean, how did you for yourself, I mean, like at 20, you get me, become the VP of the company? 'Cause that's a very, you get me, significant achievement.
Yeah,
You get me, there's a lot of people that are not going to clap for you, right? Then there's
yeah,
other people though. It's really weird because the people that you don't know a lot of the time that they'll come into your life from all kinds of places
yeah,
and they're gonna actually help you out sometimes in more people than you knew throughout your whole life. I don't know if you experienced that,
yeah,
but I mean, like, and
yeah.
I'm one of those people that likes to clap for other people. You know what I mean? A lot of
For sure.
people,
I,
they're
I,
just
I wish, yeah,
like that.
I wish we had more people. It's funny that you say that because I know more, random people that clap for me than people that actually know me
I'm gonna have
that
Aram on the podcast
clap
soon,
for
by the
me.
way.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, in terms of where I got in terms of position is right now, like I said, I always have to give glory to God where it's at. Because if that, weren't for it, I just don't know how that would have worked. Because I'm not going to say luck. I don't believe in luck.
Right,
But
right.
I actually, just to tell you a quick story from that. So I was in the insurance game for a while, and that's where I kind of
Hmm.
got obsessed with sales. When you get all the people, it
Yeah.
was just a straight cold calling job. Which
What
if I
did you
didn't
like
have
about
that,
it?
so I
This is your
like,
story, your
yeah,
journey.
I remember, like, I'm sure you probably did remember, like the first time that like they had you hop on that phone call and be like, hey, you got to call them and sell them something.
Dude, I
And I
got beat up
remember
a
like,
couple times.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
remember being just so nervous.
yeah.
And then when I kept getting those
I
people
got
that
good
said like,
afterwards.
yeah, when kept getting those people that were like, I'm not interested, the FUs and all that, and I'm like, there's got to be a way where I can turn that no and that FU into a yes, or even if, or turn that FU or turn that no into a let's see, and then, lead to a yes. And so, every time that I've been challenged, it just bothers me if I can't do it. And so that's why I got so obsessed with it. I'm like, I need to find a way to make it happen. And one of the first kind of things that I was exposed to is Grant Cardone. He was kind of like my way into sales. He was like the top guy at that moment.
Right.
And he still kind of is. And then that's when I got introduced to Jordan Belfort. And then once I got, with
They're both
the
they're both pretty
yeah,
good. I
they're
love
both
both
pretty big.
individually. And Jordan
Yeah,
himself, I have a he's very good.
yeah. And so I, when I really started getting good is when I did the straight line. That was when my mind went like, holy freaking crap. Like, you can actually, like, I wouldn't say manipulate, but you
You
can
could,
have people, yeah,
you
you
could.
can manipulate,
It's choice. It's an
and you want
ethical
to,
thing.
yeah, yeah, and you want to do it ethically, right? And to having them
I
do
don't
what
want
you
to
want them to
manipulate
do.
them, but it is a choice of ethics though, because
Yes,
you could easily take it with both, especially you get me if you go to the more advanced levels that they don't really
yes,
teach as much in a lot of places.
yeah,
You
like
could
the
definitely
NLP stuff and things like that. No, I'm
you have
totally with
no
you on
clue,
that
man.
one. Yeah, and so I started. So one of the policies, one of the things that I was taught in there is this strategy called becoming your own bank, and where you leverage whole life insurance. Some of your viewers may know what this is. It's kind of big in the finance world, but it was really big in the real estate investing world. A lot of big real estate investors love using the strategy to continue to build wealth, not just for themselves, but for their future families and things like that. So I started going to a bunch of real estate investing
Yeah, yeah,
networking
yeah.
groups, right? Just because like that's the niche. These people have a ton of money, and like let me go sell them stuff, right? And that's where I met Daniel and Sam. Daniel was, they were part of at that time. They were part of an an ML, you could call them an MLM because that's what it was. And they were basically the poster boys for these companies because they were young guys that were doing good. Sons of a great story. They're super marketable,
Good looking
and
guys.
yeah, good looking guys, great speakers.
I think we're all good
And
looking guys here. What do you
yeah,
think?
I
You think you're a
I
good
think
looking
so
guy?
too. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. I think I'm okay. But to get straight to the point, I remember hearing Daniel, talking about business and Jesus, and that was one of the first time that I've heard like those things together. I think I didn't
Mm,
grow up in a church, but I know now because my
mhm.
girlfriend did grow up in a church. Money was one of those things where it's like stay away from it, right? They got the scripture confused with, money is the root of all evil, with the root, the love of money is the root of all evil. And so it was the first time that I heard like business and Jesus in the same day. I was like, this is so awesome. Like these are like my two worlds colliding at that time. And I remember telling myself, like, I have to be the last person that talks to this guy because I want to make an impression. So I stayed to like 2 a.m. to talk to him, and we chatted for like 30 minutes. And it was just, we related on a lot. He was a young guy, Christian guy in business. And told him a little bit my story, and I think we went out for breakfast a couple times. And there's just one point where he had left that company, and they were going to do their own thing under their own brand because they had at that time had over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. They were able to kind of bring their own brand and do their own thing under their own courses. And the first person he thought about was me and said, "Hey, Joel, we'd love to kind of bring you on board." I was the first salesperson there. Right now, we have a sales team of 5 people, and we have a couple of part-timers, and we're continuing to grow with some of the products that we release. But that's how I did it, by just going to that networking group, making some connections with him, and now we're here.
Awesome. What do you think it was when he communicated that really resonated with you? I know it was part of you get me having Jesus in business because a lot of people, and I want to like to go back and forth with this, and I'm going to be asking you a ton of questions like we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
been. Kind of like, for example, they think that you can't have. They think they're mutually exclusive. They
yeah,
think that to become successful, money's the root of all evil, right?
yeah. I think, yeah. If you're finished there, I don't want to interrupt, but I think the
Go on.
problem is, yeah, I think it's a great question. I think the problem is that people don't realize that there are gifts that God gives us there are outside of being a pastor and being a student pastor or being a volunteer at the church. And I think people need to realize that, money is needed in the church. Like there needs
Yeah,
to be somebody that gives to the church for for them to go on the missions trips and for them to build the building that they have and for them to function. It's
it's
not
true,
free
by the
to
way.
function as a church. And so I think, I have a lot of respect for people that um that are called to give, that have money that is necessary, right? And I think not only that, I mean, there's a lot of people don't realize, I don't know if you read the book God and Money. It's a great book.
Tell me
But
about it.
yeah, it's a book that talks about, just as a Christ follower, what Scripture says about money, and it actually talks about unbelievable amounts of mentions on funds and how much God does want us to steward that resource. Because at the end of the day, we both understand that money's not ours, right? And
We
that
can't take it with us. We could
yeah, we
help a
can't,
lot of people while we're
but we
here.
can
It's
help,
essential,
and that's
especially that.
exactly it. That's
You need both,
exactly it. And so you
especially if
want
you're a
to be
giver.
able to know how to steward well. But like I said, everyone has a different mission, or a different ministry, right? And a lot of people don't realize that there's ministries within business, right? Us helping and helping steward, people to be better with their money, that is our ministry. We are making an impact because that will allow them to, give more to their church. That will allow them to, tip a little bit extra to that one server who's been having a hard time because of COVID-19. That'll allow them to, take that extra vacation to spend more time with your family, and take that time to spend more time with God and stuff like that. So it's necessary. I think it's, a little arrogant for us to say, as Christ followers, that money's not needed. If anything, it's a godly thing. It's a resource. It's from God. We should steward it. We should treat it
I
well.
think
We should.
poverty is a sin. I think it says that somewhere, doesn't it? Like poverty
It
is a sin.
does, and I think,
Yeah.
people kind of get scared because they say, well, why is that? It is because, it is our responsibility. I mean, Bible talks about generational wealth being our
Hmm.
responsibility. The Bible talks about being, not being lazy, right? And not, I think it
Right.
says something about taking naps being a sin, right? And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that, in just the mainstream church, it's not taught about money, that needs to, because it is important.
There's a quote that you said because you said about being lazy. I think it's like all hands that don't work, something like that.
Yeah,
It's gonna come to ruin. And then I have a quote
Yes.
right here that I wrote on my wall. It's like, all hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Proverbs fourteen
Yes.
twenty three.
Yeah, that's it.
Love this.
Amen, dude. Amen. Good stuff. No, I 100% I'm with that. And I think especially as men nowadays
What do you guys
is
think?
kind of
Joel's
looking.
doing a good job? I think he's doing pretty good. I mean, he has a lot of stuff here because one, it's not mutually exclusive to have one or the other, and you could become massively successful. You get me?
Yeah.
Two, you get me? If you have a vision, you get me? Um, Go towards that vision, put yourself in places of opportunity, and when you see on something, act, capitalize on
Yeah.
that moment, plan it out to the best of your ability at that very second to get the very best outcome, right? And be authentic. So
Yeah,
it's like when we have that and it works, you can replicate it in a lot of other areas. So that's a lot of the
for
stuff that
sure.
Joel's teaching us right now. Go on, Joel,
Yeah.
please. Just for the
Yeah,
other
and
guys, in case they didn't get
yeah,
the little nuggets you're
yeah,
kind of like
no, for
throwing
sure.
in for these
Yeah,
guys.
no, for sure. No, I appreciate that. I think that's great what you're doing is doing at the pointers.
Dude, you're
And yeah,
awesome.
and I think, and you got to look at it the other way around too. I mean, there's no lack of people with money who are just a-holes, right? And so I think it is important for those that, do follow God, do follow Christ, to make that example and show other people, look, you can make money and you don't have to be an a-hole, right? And you can genuinely help people. Because like I said, there's enough people out there that are flexing their money, they're doing their thing with, it's whatever. But I think it is necessary to reach those leaders and those same people that are doing those things. Those same people need to have relationships with people like us that can, help them, bring them to Christ. And
If they're smart.
yeah, if they're smart, exactly. And so I think it's necessary, and I think more people need to, need to be talking about it. I think it should be talked about more.
I think a lot of people in the world don't go out there to build relationships, and Bradley's very big on this.
Yeah,
I had studied this thing in the pickup community because I don't know about you, but I'm obsessed with social dynamics. That's like
yeah,
the human relationships and like
for
human
sure.
relations, the social dynamics under that, and then the human relationships between all that. So that goes into sales, that goes into chicks and guys, just like
Yeah,
the dynamics of an interaction. So I mean, studying that pretty much, it's kind of like a lot of the time people are scared to go out there and build all these massive relationships. Brad has a
yeah.
saying where it's like the more hands you shake,
Hands you
the
shake,
more
the more
money you
money you
make.
make. Yeah.
Right.
No, it's true. And I think that's even something we talk about currencies. And like when you think about, let me ask you, when you think about a currency, like what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, money. Some sort of money, right? And I think people don't realize that
Not a fan of Bitcoin. I don't know too much
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, you don't know, you want to see something real quick? Not to flex on your
Yeah,
audience here,
Bitcoin.
but
What is that? I've
well,
heard all kinds of stories. I had a buddy of mine, Arrows, back when I was in Connecticut, snowy Connecticut. He had something about Bitcoin. Oh my God, this guy's got
just a
big
little
money.
Bitcoin there. Just a
Just a
little
little
quick,
bit.
just a little
There you go,
25
man.
grand right now.
Freaking, how does that work? What is Bitcoin? Like,
To be honest with you, the way
you
the
could even
simplest.
show, you showed us, you get me? So it's like, okay, this guy knows a little bit about it. He's got
Yeah,
like
yeah. So
25K.
to be honest with you, it's one of those things where I don't know that much about Bitcoin, but I know a lot of people that know about Bitcoin, and they tell me what to do. I listen, and it's worked for me so far.
You listen
Just
to
like
the
a
experts,
business.
like the true
Yeah,
experts that have
yeah.
your best interest in heart.
Just like a business. You're not going to do everything yourself, and so you want to hire people out that are better at doing things that maybe you're not good at. And so, I had a buddy that was telling me like, Joel, you need to do it. And the biggest reason why is because people are losing a lot of trust in the dollar. With the amount of money printing that we're seeing right now, people are looking for other ways where they can store a little bit of their money and their cash and stuff. And for me, that's
Mhm.
the easiest explanation I get. Bitcoin, it's an online currency. The easiest thing I can compare it to is like gold.
Mm.
There is a finite amount of currency out there, right? A lot of people call it the internet dollar. And it's just like I said, the reason why it's doing so good right now, I think, it's because of how much trust people are losing on the actual dollar itself. There's so much inflation. The Federal Reserve has just decided to print money like it's nobody's business, and I think that's why a lot of people are doing it. That's why a lot of people are putting their money in real estate,
Right, like
or
you'll
not
run
real
out of
estate.
cash and they'll just print out more. Like it's infinite.
Exactly that. And the cool thing with Bitcoin is that it's not controlled by the Federal Reserve. It's not controlled by any banks or anything like that. So you can't print more of it. You can't manipulate it as easy as you can the dollar. So that's why I like it. I'm losing a lot of trust in the dollar right now because of the amount of printing they're doing. To go back to the currency, because we mentioned that, um,
Hmm.
people don't realize
Sure.
how valuable of a currency relationships are, myself included. I just am starting to realize
That's one of the
uh,
most valuable currencies that there is, Joel, honestly. Because if you
it
have an
is.
idea as an entrepreneur, let's say you're running a Fortune, 100 company. I have a buddy of mine that runs an Inc. 500 company. So one of the things is like you read all these books, right? Because I know you're always reading books and stuff yourself and all these things. It's kind of like
Yeah,
more or less that more of the fact is like all these people that have all these like massive companies, corporations, all these individuals, for example, have people helping them out. They have their whole team.
Yep.
And Joel, let's say in this case, is the entrepreneur. He's got a Fortune 100 company. And he's going, you get me, like at 100 miles an hour. And the thing with that is that he's going so quickly, you get me, like your favorite car, whatever it is, maybe one of those fast bullet trains. And the thing with that is more or less is the fact that he's going to have people behind them or around them. They're going to help him out with his ideas. Those are all the relationships that he has. Those are all the people that
Sure.
he can call if he needs anything, right? And especially if Joel's a giver, it's like all these people are going to be like, wow, Joel always put my mind in first. It's not
Mm.
something that you know, it's something that you can feel. And it's more than anything intuitively. Because I know you're big on the Holy Spirit, on
Yeah.
intuition with like the universe, right? And it's something that you can instantly like connect with. And it's like, and
Yeah.
it's weird, but you can feel it. And it just
Yeah.
happens. And it's different from the world.
For
So for
sure.
you, you get me yourself. How is that like more or less like when you're building relationships with other people?
Yeah, I think from what I've learned so far, and Daniel's like the best at this. And if you get to know Daniel more, I'm sure there's probably going to be more opportunities down the road. He's a very I don't know if you ever took the DISC assessment, but it's some sort of
Yeah.
it's almost like a personality type test, and he's like the most relationship person oriented out of like all of us. And one of the things is
You
that
can develop anything, by the way.
yeah, no,
Like
you're
the brain is moldable, and you can
yes,
the neurological pathways and the neurons.
yes,
You
yeah. So
can
it's not like
for all
if
other
you're
guys that might have
yeah.
limits. It's like you can develop anything, and
Yeah,
it's
there is no limit. Like I
I'm an
think that
introvert. No, you could become an extrovert, like anything.
exactly. So yeah, so no, I appreciate you clarifying that for me. Because yeah,
Man,
you can be an introvert and then be someone that develops skills and change kind of some of your mindset stuff to become a very relationship, but right now at least that's what he is. And I think one of the things he's always like told me is that always be so intentional with your relationships. Like the intention is
right,
where
right, right.
the
Huge.
the intention is where it's going to pay off, because there's a lot of relationships, but a lot of them are transactional. And I
Yep.
think when you have a relationship that is transactional, it just leaves such a bad sour taste in your mouth that,
Yeah.
it makes you not want to grow relationships with other people, and it just kind of kills the whole vibe. And so I think as long as you're intentional with like, hey, where can I bring value? And I know it's kind of cheesy when people say that, but when you really do it like deep in your heart to like, I want to help this person without getting anything back, something's going to end up coming back
It
anyways,
does.
because at
That's the
that point,
thing.
yeah,
Because you're creating energy in the universe, and I'm not sure if you could testify to this or not, but it's like for example, when I moved to Connecticut, I was 19 years old, I had my own house there and everything, but before that, and I made that decision within 24 to 48 hours. So
yeah,
Napoleon Hill would be like all these guys' success. They'll make you get me very, 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 just very fast decisions. I made it
yeah,
within 24 hours. My flight got stopped, so I got to be here an extra day with my family.
for
Then the
sure.
next day, and it worked out to my favor because I got to say goodbye a little bit more. And it's like,
Yeah.
boom, the next day, just I was out. But I had helped so many people before that because I'm always helping people. I really
Hmm.
am, dude. Like, you have
Yeah.
no clue. I don't think you have a clue because
Yeah.
that's how I
Probably
live my
not.
life. That's how I live my life, though, because all my intentions from the moment I wake up till I close my eyes, like, I'm going to make the globe conscious of success. All these people, you get me, are going to have opportunities that maybe you didn't know about, maybe that I didn't know about, maybe that we didn't know about,
Yeah.
or because, or for example, a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to have a mentor growing up,
Mm.
or
Yeah.
they won't know that success is possible. So they'll
Hmm.
stop themselves inside internally, and they won't rise above the limits that they could possibly strive to because they never even considered it because
Yeah.
nobody around them had those standards, nobody was performing at those levels, and it was a
Yeah.
few rare individuals that kind of performed like that. And when that kind of happened, it's one of those things where it just becomes great. When that
Yeah.
happens, you get me, your whole life transforms, it changes.
Yeah.
It changes automatically. So all these people now are going to have more opportunity. I know you're big for the Latin American community,
Yeah.
right? The Mexican community, Latin.
Yeah.
You should
Hispanics.
broaden your to all of it, man, because like tú puedes hablar
Yeah.
español también y te puedes comunicar fluentemente,
Sí.
¿sabes?
Sí.
Sí, caballero.
Sí. I can tell the accent now. Yeah. There you go. No está bien. My accent's not that good as yours, but yeah, I can get it
We can
there.
communicate. I mean, I'm pretty good at
Yeah.
Spanish, but we can
Sí.
communicate. You should
Este,
expand your influence because of that.
no, for sure. And I'm big on that because um a lot of my TikTok, that's why I had you put my TikTok on there. It's all about, yeah, there you go.
It's also going to be at the bottom
Okay.
afterwards because this is
Yeah,
all
that's
your
fine.
social media handles.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I appreciate that. And I think at least here in the States, because new generations coming in, it's there's not a lot of people that you can point to and say like, I relate to this guy, like our culture is the same, our family structure is the same, and he's succeeding, and I think you're right. That automatically puts a limit
Sure.
just on your mind of like, okay, I can only do this, I can only do this, I can only do that. That's why I started putting a lot of content on TikTok, is because it's like, well, I can relate to this, but I'm not a victim to me, being a first generation here. I know there's other people that may, have a little
That's
bit of a
nice.
head start, but I know that I can still do it,
How's
and
that not a benefit, man?
what's up?
Can I reframe that for you?
Yeah,
All right, put it like this. Because we're first generation and we understand the culture, we're in a very unique space. Because
very,
everywhere that we go, for example, more or less, it's like all these people that we're hooking up with, you get me? We can understand Hispanic culture, we understand American culture.
yeah,
It's like it's not like you understand it, it's like you are it. You really understand it. So
yeah.
it's kind of like
And you
um,
can adapt, and that gives you huge. People don't understand how big of an advantage that gives your audience times two. If you can speak English, y también puedes hablar español,
see
you've
Joe.
got two audiences now, right? And so, like I said, it's huge, and that's why I like putting a bunch of content out there, so I can just show them, hey, look, I'm still young, and although I haven't reached to my potential, I know where I'm heading, and
You have a high
you
bar
can
for
do,
yourself. You're always
yeah.
trying to
There's
raise the
there's
bar for yourself.
there's too
Like
many people,
excellence is
right?
it's a really high standard of yours.
There's too many people, and I know this is in every culture, but I know I've experienced it more in just the Hispanic culture myself, that are telling a lot of these young guys like, you can't do it because of this, of because of you're oppressed, of because these certain circumstances, or because this person's our president, or because of this. There's too much, in my opinion, all right, I may be wrong, in my opinion, there's too much people telling them you can't do it because of X. And I hate that, because it's just not true, right? I think
Because it's
we have
not.
control, and there's
It's up to the
still so much,
individual.
yeah, there's so much opportunity here, and you can't go out and blame anybody else because you're not doing good. It's because of your habits. It's because you don't see it in yourself. It's because you're not surrounding yourself with the right people. It's because you're still believing the lies that, a lot of what the media and just what everyone's trying to tell you, just a lot of it's not true. It's meant to keep you broke. It's meant to keep you poor. It's meant to, keep you in a place where they don't want you to succeed. And so that's why I'm big on the whole Hispanic community. Although I want to reach everyone, I know that
Yeah.
I can relate to a lot of these people, and I want to at least start there, if that makes sense, in terms of level of influence.
One of the things that Napoleon Hill would do is that when he was around, I believe it was Franklin D. Roosevelt or Teddy D. Roosevelt, he had the similar mindset when it came to you. And that's how the United Nations were formed because he developed, and that was a mastermind principle in his book, Think and Grow
Yeah.
Rich. And I have these books, these textbooks that are $300 from the Law of Success that on eBay they're going for like 10 grand right now. So it's like
Jeez. Yeah.
I know it's awesome. It's like one of my prized possessions because I'm big on Hill. I've put in like he's one of my
Yeah.
mentors.
Good stuff.
Yeah, huge though. Like I've gone through like almost all his tapes, all his courses, at least like 10 times, like a lot of it.
Yeah.
So one of those
You got
principles
to.
is pretty much what you get me. It interrelates with that because a lot of the time you get me all these people that will build and aren't going out there to build these relationships. Like the intention that I use, it's like one, I make sure it's not what that person is, it's not how big they are. I don't really care about that. I don't really give a fuck about that. Excuse my French, although I don't speak French. It's kind of like, for example, who is that person? Who are they inside? Like, what are their intentions? What's their character like? Right? Because I've had guys online. They'll message me with like 10,000 followers, 20,000 followers. They want to hook up with me, but I'm just like, dude, I'm not fucking with you. I don't like you, and I won't tell
Yeah.
them that, right? But I don't like their intentions. It's like these guys are trying to hook up with like Vic. Maybe they're trying to hook up with some of my other guys, right? And it's like more than even that, you get me visualizing myself where I want to be, where I'm at now, where I'm going, and all this stuff together. Because it's like you have to believe that you are it, then you will become it. You have to feel it. You have to
Yeah.
believe that you are that thing. It's not just that
Yeah.
Brad Lee says
Yeah.
that,
You
but it's
you
that I came
gotta.
to
I
my
think that.
conclusion on that before that. Go on, please.
Yeah. No, I don't know where I read this, but they talk about like before you have $1 million in your bank, your mind's got to be a
This
million
is very
dollars. And
value driven, man.
yeah,
Go on.
and what I mean by that is that
Yeah.
like there's a direct mindset that a millionaire has. They just have it, right? And we can. I'm just directing it.
Similarities.
Yeah, there's
Then
just
you can replicate it.
similarities. Yeah, and as soon as you hit that mindset to a certain extent, the money's gonna get there. Like there's just a lag between your mindset and your pocket. You see what I'm saying? And so as long as you develop those habits that millionaires have or successful people have, right?
Right.
I tell people all the time, although I'm not a millionaire right now, technically, um, my mindset's there. And so my bank account is just catching up. It's going to get there eventually, but my mindset's already there. See what I'm saying?
You have to work with yourself internally. Like a lot of the time, you get me. Um, for me, I have this program that I listen to because I'm big on hypnosis as well,
Yeah.
Joel.
Is that what you're doing to me
It's like,
right now?
dude, you have no idea, man. But I use all these things as rapport building skills because I study social dynamics. So I study
Yeah.
every single last intricacy of communication. Because put it like this, hypnosis, a lot of the time people will think it's like I'll put you on a stage and you're gonna bark like a dog, you're gonna sing like Madonna, and they do it. But
Yeah.
there's more than that because there's something that could be instant, internal, powerful change where it's like you could rewire someone's neurology. Like let's say Joel wanted, let's say, to become better. What's an area that you wanted to get better at, or do you want to get better at right now? Just the ballpark figures. It doesn't have to be specific. It could be general.
Yeah. I mean, I'd
Some
say my health, going to the
Your
gym, getting
health.
bigger gains. Yeah. Let's say that.
All right. Imagine inside your mind if, and I'm getting better at this, but imagine inside your mind if somebody could go in front of you. Your world stops. You can just tune in now and you focus with what you have. Everything else, like just it dissipates, and you begin to, the more you resist it, the more it grows. The more it grows, the more you want it to grow. The more it grows, the better it feels. The better it feels, the more you want it to grow. Whatever it is that you wanted it to happen, just instantly snapped. Now all those things just unlocked for you. That potential is now running much faster than what it was before, and you can begin to visualize yourself how it is that you'd look. How do you think you'd feel? And imagine yourself strongly, right? And then I can anchor you to a state. I can build chain anchors, and there's a lot of stuff that I can do when some of these guys are at much higher levels when it comes to hypnosis, where I can literally do that change work that takes months sometimes, and
Mm.
sometimes years for a person. You get me, like those overweight guys that want to make change. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Some of those guys are like 2, 3, 400 pounds. Like, my God.
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine if you could, and it's all internally, right? Like
Yeah.
it's your internal mindset, and you
Yeah.
can
You
just
got it.
snap them. You can change them with the snap of a fingers
Yeah.
instantly because you rewired your neurology. You
Interesting.
began to work with them, and they began to change themselves. One, because they had desire, but two, because you were able to do that. So imagine when you have sales guys and you're training them. They have limiting beliefs. They have all these.
Oh, for sure.
You're making them into 6, 7, 8 figure producers almost instantly because you
Yeah.
understand this at a very different level.
For
So
sure.
this has potential where you get me, not just Jordan Belfort had, you get me Marshall Silver, which is one of my trainers for hypnosis, in addition to a
Hmm.
bunch of other ones.
Yeah,
Yep,
Jordan talks about the whole anchors when he when he had his salespeople. I forgot what he called it specifically, but I know he liked to sniff his little stuff that gets him,
his boom boom.
anchored. Yeah, his boom
It
boom.
works, by the way.
Yeah, I've tried it for a while. When you're kind of stuck and you need to get in the zone, and just by doing that, it brings you back to the time where you made the sale, and that feeling inside it brings you back. So I've tried it before. I probably need to get back into it, but no, I've so it's one of my good buddies, Matt Maddox. He trained this one guy, or he worked with this one guy who was a hypnosis professional, but he had a sales course that he
Yeah,
kind
like
of
with
related
the
those two
very,
things
very, very
together.
advanced levels, like the guys that
Y-
are really, really good. Like
yeah, and
I
so
mean, I'm
that
talking
doesn't
about like the
surprise me.
very best at the highest levels possible.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, yeah. Because that's the level where you can have you want lasting change. You don't want instant
Hmm.
change. You
Yeah.
want you want to create, like Tony Robbins would say, you want to create lasting change in that person. By
Mm.
the way, Tony Robbins studied with Richard Bandler and a lot of these guys. A lot of his
Yeah.
stuff is NLP, by the way. Like
Yeah.
it's really awesome how all this he
We were
teaches
we
at
were
the
t-
top
we
universities.
were talking about. I want to get deeper into it because I know some of my sales guys could probably help out, and we're at the point where like our script is so good, and we've taught the tonality needed to where it's like it's very hard, at least at what we sell, to like get better at least the level of sales that we're doing, because it's a one call quick close, boom boom boom, and it's like it's consistent and our numbers are great. Like if we have a qualified lead, it's like a 70% chance that you're closing that person if you do the right thing with the script, if you got the right tone. And so it's a machine. Our sales is a machine right now, which is where we want to be. But as we start getting more complex in the systems and the products that we're selling, I know I've dabbled with the face value of NLP and I've liked it so far, but I know there's a lot more. I know you talked about
It's
it
a
that I want to
field.
get into, which it takes
I'm
a
still
lifetime to.
studying like more of it. Like I understand. I've put in multiple thousands and thousands of hours just in NLP. You get me? I put in over 10,000 hours in my skill set and my craft. So that's why I have so much flexibility. And to me, it's just like, and I
I
can
like
kind of
that.
just work it. And so it's very distinct. NLP in itself is a whole field, but
Uh-huh.
all these tools, why do I like them? You get me? And you're interested in communications and sales itself. So I mean, this is a very interesting topic, and I kind of want to like let get you some of your points on here,
Yeah,
and let me finish this one, and I just kind of want to like ask you like more because I know we've been going back and forth with this one, but I want
yeah,
to ask you like a ton of more questions yourself because I know you have
for
so
sure.
much time, but if you have a little bit of time, I'd love to have you like
Yeah,
chime in.
no, we'll be okay. Don't worry about it.
All these intentions of mine, it's like I could use these tools to improve other people's lives. Because these
Yeah.
major companies, like the billion-dollar companies, they have systems, they have procedures, right?
Oh,
All
for
these
sure.
guys are using, you get me, all this, all these words where it's like, you get me, on a person, where it's
Hmm.
like, I don't know, I'll give you an example. A catchy jingle, right? And it gets stuck in your head and you can remember it over and over and over. And it's good. So they'll anchor it to you. You'll see, and then that company will be in the back of your mind. You see it over and over and over. You get me? When you most likely do something in the future, it's going to come to you, especially if they use specific, you get me, special language.
Mm.
A specific company that I like a lot is Office Depot has this thing where it's like they use part of the straight line system where it's like they have this thing when you're on the phone and you're on hold. It's like simple to do, simple to use, simple for you. So it's just simple, 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 simple. It's like, and it just puts it in the, it just slides in the back of your mind.
Back of your mind, yeah, back of your
So it's
subconscious,
like,
yeah.
whoa. So I definitely want to get your ideas like on sales. I mean, what do you think some of your like strengths are like sales and some of your like your strongest sharp points at like where you excel the best, where you're just like, like this is my shit, like
Yeah. No, that's good. I appreciate that. I think I've always
here's
been like a
Mandy.
yeah, I think I've always been like a natural charismatic guy. Like it's, I'm a very extroverted guy, and I can kind of, I know how to turn the on and the switch, the switch on and off when I wanna, like you mentioned, if I need the attention in the room, I know how to get it. If I don't really care for it, I don't really care for it, right? And I think I've always been a naturally charismatic guy, but I think where I differ with a lot of people is that like I will always put up more numbers than you. I tell my guys this all the time because I've had guys that
Yeah,
are better, like are more natural born sales people than I was, because I put hours in my craft and going through the courses and reading the books, and that's the reason why I'm good at sales. It wasn't because, I mean, I've read people, and Jordan talks about all the time, where they're just naturally born salespeople, right? You may be one of them, not sure, but
I am.
I
I've been
tell
selling
people,
since probably 4 or 5.
there you
Like
go.
I always instinctively, I'm like, I'd go to
Yeah, let's see
schools,
what
I'd
we
use
saw.
up the whole pencil, I'd reframe it as baby pencils, and I'd get all the money from kids in schools. Like,
That's
I mean,
funny.
I know I got in trouble for it. They almost wanted to kick me out of the school. They're like, this guy's doing this and that.
That's
I've been,
funny.
I've been, I've been selling. I know Brad would go door to door and he'd sell chocolate to people. So I mean,
Uh-huh.
it was just instinctual.
Yeah.
And I had to, I definitely trained though. I'm also a trained person. You get
Yeah.
me? When you have both, I think you get me, you
Oh
can
yeah.
transfer those
It's
skills, you get me
yeah,
at a higher level. And I know
exactly.
you've studied a lot. So you can
Yeah,
probably
no,
do stuff that some
and
of the
it
naturals can't, and you can become a better teacher and instructor, and you're gonna have more opportunity sometimes.
yeah, and
Especially in leadership positions.
for
You get me? If
sure.
you can teach it, and it's because it teaching is very different from, and I'm
Oh,
sure you'd
for
agree,
sure.
than just being
Yeah.
like a salesperson.
Yeah, it's very, because you have a different, you have a different style of people there. I mean, I've got an intellectual that's part of it, or not intellectual. I've got a very introverted person in our team that's such a good salesperson. And I was training them. It was so hard because he was very introverted, but his selling style was a little bit different. But you can, yeah, but you can but
And
you
you
could still
cracked them.
train. Yeah, but you could still train that person. But it took a lot for me because he was very different than I was, and there was certain things that I was like, man, like, why aren't you just like me, right? But that's what you have to do when you're a leader. You have to know when to adapt with different type of people, because not everyone's like you.
Yeah, man.
But I tell my salespeople all the time, that like there's some people that are naturally born, more talented salespeople, but because I work way harder than them, I'm willing to put, if they're putting 25 calls in, I'm going to put 50. If they're putting 100, I could put 200 any day of the week, no matter if I'm on the top sales position or if I'm still at the bottom. And so I think for me, it's very hard for anybody to outperform me in the work ethic spot, because I am very competitive. I don't like losing. And so, if someone's better than me
I
naturally,
can
I can
relate to
take
that,
it.
by the way.
I can
That's
take
how
it.
I got
But
better when I was selling to millionaires on the phone.
yeah, but in terms of outworking me, I won't let you do that. And so I'd say that's probably where my biggest strength is. I can influence someone who's lazy to push them a little harder. right? Even if it's very hard to do so. And so I think that's probably where my biggest strength comes in as a salesperson.
You're a really good trainer, and you'll outwork everybody around you.
Yes. Yeah, I think the best leaders are the ones that are the best at what they're leading in. I think we have right now, unfortunately, a lot of, quote unquote experts that are trying to teach some people that are even better than them, calling themselves experts. And so I think it's important. You have to put in the hours, and you can't, hide the fact that you haven't. You got to put in the work in the craft, and to lead, you
Like a
got to be better
charlatan.
than the people you're leading. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. I think you're really good, by the way, Joel. I just wanted to compliment you.
Yeah. Appreciate that, dude. Thank you.
My pleasure, man. I wanted to say that.
Appreciate that.
Always authentically.
I don't know if you were finished speaking there. If I don't know if I don't know if that pause that you give me is part of the NLP that you're doing on me or not, but
Dude, I'm not
uh,
even. I have no
but
idea, man. I'm just myself, to be honest with you. I think a lot of the time, one of the things I had my buddy Jazz on, and he's doing pretty good. It's like a lot of these rules they're made by people. Like, there's a certain level where it's like you have to integrate it into yourself, and it's kind of like just smelling, and then you just like do it now. It's like, and
mhm.
it's like what, and you don't really think about it though. And then the person's like, huh? It, it's it's just fun. Like I don't really think about it anymore. Like
Yeah,
there's certain I don't think about it as much. There's certain moments where I'm gonna be honest, where it's like I'll calculate a situation if it's something. Dude, I'm 20. I'm about to be 22. My birthday's on Sunday.
yeah.
It's like,
What do they call that? Incompetent, competent, right? When you're doing something, or what is it? Because there's a four, right? That's
there's four. There's four. You're right.
yeah, I forgot what it is, but
There's one where it's like you're you're uncompetently incompetent, where it's like you have no idea what the heck is happening. You don't even know that there's a level.
yeah, you
Then
don't know
you're
what you don't know.
Yeah, and then it's like then there's a level up, and I don't remember the exact jargon for it, but it's like then you
Yeah,
become competently competent. Hold on, let me write it down. So it's like
yeah.
because you're
I'll
uncompetently.
simplify because it starts with you don't know what you don't know,
Let me
and
look it up.
then it goes to you know what you don't know, right? And then it goes to I think like you're competently
Okay, I
competent,
have it. So
you're competently competent, and then you're incompetently competent. I don't know. I may have gotten that wrong.
you're pretty close. I wanted to Google. One of the things Henry Ford would always do is that before the internet was around, he'd have all these electric push buttons. When he wanted to refresh himself on something, he would just click those buttons. One of the
Yeah.
wealthiest, most powerful men that ever walked this earth, and he'd have the information just like, okay, cool, now I can move on. So being like that, and we're very like-minded. I got the first one is you're unconsciously incompetent. So that's the
Yeah.
first one that I said. The second one is you're consciously incompetent. Then you're
Yeah.
consciously competent. Then you're unconsciously competent.
There you
That's
go.
one, and that's the
Yeah.
highest level that there is. The
Yeah.
beauty of that is that it doesn't happen overnight. You definitely have to
No.
put in definitely a couple of
Yeah.
hours, just a few, right? Just like 10,000 plus.
There you
But you
go.
get, but you get much better at it. You get me?
Yeah.
And when
You'll
you're
get
around all these
you'll
people, you definitely pick up different things. And it doesn't have to be one specific individual, depending even if that individual had a significant impact on you. Because I know you're
for
around a
sure.
lot of your guys, and these guys are top performers. These top performers are the top 1% of the world. You get me? Because most people in life aren't going to be performing at these levels, which is one of the reasons you get me. We have you on because you could being one of those top performers around all these brilliant minds, and just being who you are specifically. You get me? Kind of getting a
Yeah.
feel for you a little bit more. Kind of learning as I kind of build with this guy. This guy's kind of sharp. You get me? Is
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
is he somebody that's just gonna go? He's like, oh my god, where'd my wallet? No, not literally. You get me, but
Yeah.
like his intentions. You get me? Is he somebody that I can just build with, like, and it's fine. You get me? I don't have to like worry about it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go this way. Joe's gonna go that way, and if Joe needs anything, he can hit me up, and we have that relationship where it's like very
Yeah.
very casual.
I
And
think the best. I don't know if you've heard of this, but I've always thought like I've got like to be honest, I don't have a lot of friends. Like I really don't.
really,
I
no
yeah,
way, dude. I'm
I
one
don't
of
have
your.
a lot of
I could be one
friends.
of your friends. Just don't be
There
in
you
the
go,
Yeah, just be nice.
me and my girlfriend. It's funny. We always joke about that. We don't have that much friends because we're it, we're both. I feel like
That's
if
normal,
we
by the
hang,
way, when you get into a relationship for a lot of guys, especially
yeah,
when they're alpha males, because you're an
yeah,
alpha male, somebody that's going to be a VP, that's going out there, it's an extrovert, can build relationships. I mean, you can work
yeah,
with other tribes, you can pull tribe members, you can do all these kinds of stuff, and you can do all these things, and it's like, my God, I can tell this guy's sharp because I can see what he's doing. He knows the power of patience. He knows a lot of things, and it's
yeah,
obvious. And it's like you're one of those guys, which is really good. However, when you get into a relationship, a lot of these guys they fall in love, and I remember I mean I just studied like the social dynamics of all of it. So
Yeah.
this happened to me before when I was dating, and it's like I cut off
What happened? What happened? You broke up?
we just didn't work out for each other, but I wish her a lot of amazing things, and I hope she's doing awesome.
Yeah.
And I honestly expect that you get me. She is you get me because I expect her to do good. I expect big things out of everybody that I meet,
Yeah.
and I wish her a lot of success.
Yeah.
So I'm still going this way, and anybody else can tag along for the ride because we're on a rocket ride.
Yeah.
So right now, for example, I was one of the coolest kids in school. I've always been very popular, and I cut off a lot of my social channels and networks. So it was
Hmm.
just me and her. You get me? I'd wear a sweater. You get me? And it had our name and her name. And it's like,
Oh.
whoa. A lot of people are like, that's adorable. I look at it now. I'm like, I wouldn't do that now though. Like maybe if you came, no, I wouldn't even wear it in the
I would
house
have
to be
made fun.
honest with you.
I would have made fun of you if you went to my school
I,
for that.
but
I'm
even
kidding, man.
then,
I'm kidding.
which is totally fine. Even then, though, you get me. I was still one of the most popular kids in the entire school. I came in as a
Yeah.
freshman. You get me. I wasn't as close to Jesus before, and I'd have girls that were sophomores, juniors, seniors, college chicks. They were all throwing themselves at me. I'm like 15 years old, man. 14 years
Jeez.
old, 15. I'm serious, man. That's because your social status is so high that you're flipping all these attraction triggers that all these girls and they see you with all these chicks, so they oh he must have something, you know, pre-selection. You get me? I'd always dress nice as well, and I was all with all the top guys. You get me? And they were around me. I'm leading. I'm doing. It's like oh so I'm that guy,
Yeah.
and I'm breaking down the process in case anybody wants to use it because you can. That's what I use, and I still use that to a certain extent, and a bunch of other things, right?
Yeah.
Because I think in life, a lot of people just go through it and they don't study. They
Yeah.
just kind of take it the way it is. They're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to be a creature of circumstance. I can't actually influence my environment and become more successful. And then they just stay there. They're stagnant. They'll hit that inner roof inside
Boom.
their head. Nobody
Yeah.
exposed them to possibility. But anything's learnable. Anything's teachable. And when
Yeah.
you're around any person that, when we take our ego, both of it, where it's like, you know what, screw you, Noel. I'm like, yeah, screw you, Noel. And I say that to myself or anybody that has to do with ego, and we focus on the bigger purpose, like the leaders that we are.
Yeah.
You get me? Which is a rare thing, by the way, because it's
Yeah.
guys like
I
us. I don't.
I think in high
We
school,
work on that big
yeah,
vision
going to that, because I was kind of similar.
and we all move towards it.
One of the things I realized subconsciously, looking back now, that was just a natural God-given gift is, like you mentioned, like you were like the popular kid, all that stuff.
Dude, you
I
have
wasn't
no
necessarily
idea.
pop.
I'd
Yeah, I
walk
was
down
not.
the hallways and people would line up to clap me. I wasn't even a basketball player. What the heck did I
Jeez.
win, bro? You
Yeah,
think
that's
I'm not
so funny.
exaggerating. I'm
Was
actually,
it a
if anything, it might be less.
was it a
I'm serious.
was it
I was
a
popular in multiple schools. I'm like, how the heck did
wait
I get over there?
was it
It
a
was
heavy
awesome.
Hispan was it a like very Hispanic type high school? Was it
No,
a
not
little bit of
even. It was
everything?
in Miami. You have everything, but when I was everybody knew who I was. It's like I was a celebrity in school.
That's
I
so
I
funny, dude. That's
I would
awesome.
be I was a celebrity in other schools and I didn't go to those schools. So
Yeah, I know. I
it
could.
was
I'm
distinct.
thinking about people that were like that in my high school, and I could see where that fit. But
I don't know,
I was,
man. Like I was I'd walk down the hallway. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not. I might be under exaggerating. People would clap me up. I'd have lines of people. I'm
that's
serious.
good for you, man. Good for
It'd be
you. I'm
like
sure you had fun with that. That's
and
funny.
sometimes I'd be with both hands like pop pop pop, and I'd usually have like a girl around me too. So I don't know. It was fun.
I wasn't like that. I was a kid that got along with everybody. Like I played
I got along
basketball in
with
high
everybody
school.
too, man.
I played basketball in high school a few years before I started working, and I was like, I'm not basketball's not gonna take me anywhere. Not that good. And I just kind of knew everybody. But I think that was even that was a skill back then that I didn't notice I had, is that I was able to adapt and make conversation with the nerds, with the popular kids, with
Me too, man. I was nice to them.
with
I'd
and I
protect them, bro.
and I liked
I
it. And it's funny
would.
too
I'd be
because
like, don't be a fucking asshole to him. Be an
and it's
asshole to
funny because
me.
my
It's
my
like, and then
girlfriend
I'm like,
my girlfriend was really good at that as well. My girlfriend was the type of girl where she would like sit intentionally. She was raised very well by her parents, very strong faith type people, and that's I mean that's how I got
you
exposed to
think you might
Jesus
marry
first.
her?
Yeah, I'm gonna marry her, no doubt about it. I already know
Dude,
it's
bless.
yeah, I know it's gonna be her.
Oh,
Sometime soon actually too. So hopefully she doesn't watch this video. I'm kidding. She knows it's coming. But
I'm gonna
she'd
put
always
thousands of dollars in marketing behind this, by the way. So a lot of the guys that I didn't tell, and I usually tell them when they're on afterwards, it's like, oh, okay, good for you, you did it. Um,
yeah.
uh, you believed in something before it happened.
There you go.
Um,
No,
all
that's
all all this stuff is gonna have thousands and thousands of dollars of marketing. Like So a lot of these guys that are on the channel, it's like, oh my God, they're gonna blow up. Yes, they are gonna blow up because I'm gonna make
Yeah.
sure that I market the channel, and these are the episodes with the experts. Go on,
Yeah.
please, Joe.
No. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But what I was saying is that, yeah, I think it's even that skills that notice the habits that you have in high school, and that was one of them is being able to adapt to different conversation. What I was telling you that related back to the relation building and being intentional is, and the reason why I don't really have too many friends now is a lot of it is just level of maturity. Like a lot of people that I did grow up that in high school that I can go back to, they're just at a different place maturity wise
Right.
because they're still hanging out with the same people.
They're not reading. They're not leveling up their mindset.
And myself, I've just been around so many different people that are different level
Right.
that push me more. But I think
You've
that the
changed.
coolest friendships, and I have a couple of these friendships that I always
And you've
appreciate,
changed. Yeah. It's like
of
lagging.
how good or how bad I'm doing. Like I think is it?
Is it my internet or
Oh,
is it
it's saying
yours?
that my
I think
internet. Uh,
I don't know what it is because
hold
I
on.
recently got fiber, but I mean I'm still getting used to it. I think I'm gonna get the more expensive package.
Yeah,
I got the new iPhone. This is cool. All right, go on, please.
there you go. It may have been on my side, on yours. I don't know.
Who
It's a little
cares?
bit better. Yeah, it's a little bit better
This
now.
is thousands of dollars worth of content. It's free. Go on, please, Joel. Continue speaking.
Yeah.
Bless
No,
these
but
guys.
yeah, no, appreciate that.
This is a blessing, by the way. I mean,
I
they should
hope it
follow
is.
your
I hope
channel.
someone's able. Yeah, I hope someone's able to
Hope
take some
what,
value from
dude?
this. But no, what I was saying, going back to what I was talking about. I
Yes.
think the coolest friendships are the ones that, like, if you don't talk for 5 years, you could just call them up, and it's like you just resume right where you left off. You always got to appreciate people like that are clapping you on even behind the scenes, but understand, because I think once you start making money, I don't know if you've been through this or not, but you almost start looking out. Because I've had people that have reached out. I mean, even own family members that I'm like, like, are you reaching out because, like,
Or do
you
you
think
want
it's
something?
cool, or do you want something from me? And so, and I think that's my own fault. I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and that's just the type of person I am. And I am a very, and I keep humble about it. But this is a one-on-one conversation. Pretend like it's just me and you. I like giving. I like helping out
To
my
millions of
parents and my
people and thousands of
grandparents.
people. Yes, go
And
on,
thousands of
please.
people. There you go.
That's why they're
And
being
so
blessed, man.
I am pretty. To be honest with you, I am pretty easy to take advantage of, because I am a very giving type of person, and I'll give people the
I
benefit of
used
the
to be
doubt.
like
But
that too, man. I had to learn.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
but you have to. It's a fine line between the middle. It's
yes,
cause one of the things, and I learned this yesterday actually, cause I think you're a feeler, where it's like you can feel things, like you can feel
yes,
things, right? That's a gift, by the way, cause not everybody has that gift.
for
You
sure.
probably already knew that. Yeah, I know you knew that before, consciously or
Yeah.
unconsciously. Like it's like, yeah, emotions, and this is definitely, it may or may not add value to you. This is gonna make me a lot of money. He was with my buddy James yesterday. He was one of my leaders before at Vivet. Guy's making 6 7 figures. He's a monster. He's an animal, dude. Like
Hmm.
in a whole different way. Like the way he trained, he's a beast. I think really highly of him. And when I think highly of people, it's like I'm not one of those guys, or I know I'm not a girl because I'm a dude. Where it's like a lot of the time, it's like people won't. You get me? Give people that person credit. It's like when
Hmm.
I see Joel, I'm like, wow, Joel, you get me? He's 20 years old. He's a freaking vice president of a company. He's kicking ass in life. He's got all these big ideas, these big visions, these big dreams. He's extremely ambitious. He's extremely driven. He's a freaking expert. He's really, really smart. He's super intelligent, right? And a lot of people, you get me, are going to be able to see that through this episode. And he's putting more content out. He's on TikTok. He's got his social media up. And a lot of these people are learning this, you get me, that aren't fortunate enough to have this with Joel. I mean, you guys should message him, try to have him on the podcast.
There you go.
Um, right? And I'm okay saying that about people when I see it at any level. You have to have, I think, a certain balance, because it's a fine line where it's like, I don't know, because like when you talk to wealthy people and celebrities and millionaires, it's like a lot of the time, you get me, all these people are trying to get their attention by doing that. One of the things that one of my old mentors taught me, and this was one of the guys that really knew the straight line system, and I don't speak with him anymore, and that's awesome, you get me, because we chose to go different ways, and I'm wishing him a lot of success, and I know, you get me, that I'm going to continue working on this path, you get me, because I chose to go this path, right? And I'm really grateful for the time that I got to speak with him and meet him, because you get me, it definitely was something that added to my life as I continued to make the decision to go towards this path,
Yeah.
individually. Um, anyways, one of the things that he taught me was that when we meet all these celebrities and wealthy people, you got to treat them like an equal, but you can't treat them like an equal because you have to make sure you know who you're talking with. And one of my other
Exactly.
friends that is pretty close with Jordan right now, and I'm always speaking with him, and I have a really good relationship with him. He's like kind of like a brother, kind of like a father figure because he's a lot older.
How's Jordan doing, by the way?
Belfort.
I've kept some of his content. I know he's got a new girl. He's got a new girl like every other month now. But is he running the company from a new? He moved, right? He moved to a new house now.
To be honest with you, man, I just know that he's got a new girl, and I just see a lot of the time the stuff from the outside. I haven't built the relationship with him the way that
Yeah,
I plan to in the future through my own ways.
yeah,
Because when I build the relationship with all these other people, these relationships are me with them individually. You get me? If they choose to help me in the future because you get me, we've just built the relationship, that's awesome. If it's not, I never went inside actually kind of having that because
yeah.
I kind of just want to put myself on. And I'm very
That's good.
kind and
Yeah.
that's a shift. Remember intention?
Hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
And I, because you do see that. I mean, you see people that I've had people that, you know, have, reached out to me, once they find out that I work with the Quack brothers, and, and I can sense the, like, okay, they want to build that relationship with me because they just want an easier way in with Daniel or with Sam or, what are these guys. And so I think the way that you're doing it with trying to build those relationships intentionally without doing it, well, I'm going to do it because of this, or I'm going to use this person for that, right?
I
We need,
identify with you. That's it.
yeah,
That's it.
exactly,
I mean, I'm
exactly.
okay like walking away at any point with anything in general.
Yeah,
But I really, really, really identify with you, and I wanted to build a relationship.
for sure.
And the thing is that I'm the kind of person where it's like, if I like you a lot, you get me. Even if whatever what you do, it may be dumb or silly at a certain point. I usually try to present myself, you get me, based off my good reference points in the past, the way I study social dynamics. I can make you look better, and I can kind of give you a little bit of cover, and I can make you look better. Where
Yeah,
that's called
that,
loyalty,
yeah,
at
that's so, dude, that's
and
so,
making that person look good, because that's
that's
social intelligence at a like distinct level.
that's so huge because
I know you
nowadays,
understand.
yeah, that's so huge because nowadays I've seen relationships where someone does something right and it, makes that person look bad, and, the people that were supposed to be there, they fold like a chair, and it's sad to
Yep.
see. And, I feel like we should have more of people that, what, you have to understand that people are gonna make mistakes, are gonna mess up, in a world where everything's put out there. Like, I recently had a
Yeah.
I recently had a situation where, um, someone called me out on TikTok, for for whatever, and
Oh, you had
they
their
try to quote
attention?
unquote
It's
expose me
awesome,
on it,
man.
and it's funny.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
really
I had
awesome.
their,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's called
all
mental real
attention's good
estate.
attention.
Now you
There you
choose what
go.
you do with that, you
I did.
master
I was holding.
salesman.
I was living rent free in her mind apparently, because they couldn't stop making videos of me. I'm like, geez, man, like, they're clout chasing. I'm like, it's helping me. It's going my fly. I'm cool with it. But, I think it was really cool seeing like who was there and like who would comment and say like, hey, like, what's your problem here? Like, that would stay loyal, even if they didn't agree with what I was posting or what I said about certain things. Politically, there were still people there that was like, hey, like, this guy's got, he's got his own voice, his own audience, and, he's got a different viewpoint than you do. Like, what's wrong with that? Even if that person didn't agree with it, I think loyalty is huge. And I think too many people right now are folding like chairs because they're afraid that, because I have a relationship with that person and he didn't do something that necessarily the world agrees with, I'm just gonna shy away, stay away from the guy. No, I mean, you got to speak up. This is your guy. This is a real relationship. Back him up when it's needed because he's gonna do the same thing for you. So no, that's good stuff.
I think you do what I do. You kind of look for who the person is inside. And because you've been burned in the past, and I'm not using
Yeah.
one of Jordan's lines, but when you get burned in the past by a bad salesman or a bad person, you don't want to leave, you get me, that into the next relationship. Because the way I consider myself, and now I'm going to use a little bit of Tony Robbins, it's kind of like, well, I don't actually consider myself a salesperson. I consider myself a healer and a relationship builder. The reason why, and then boom, I'll go into my spiel. And the reason why, by the way, is because I want to leave every interaction that I go into better than when I find them. Whether it's a girl, whether it's, you get me, I'm in a multi-million dollar, you get me, meeting with somebody, and the potential of that in the future, because we're young, you get me, and I'm sure you've been in those meetings yourself. I'm just kidding. I know you have because you're the VP and you have a lot of these things, and that's why you're on the show. One of the reasons why. Two, I kind of wanted to build a relationship with you because I see that you're driven and you're sharp. I'm always trying to expand my circle with people I identify with.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't think I think you kind of see the world like that too. You kind of just like, who the heck? Can I curse? Is it cool? Because I curse a lot. Like
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not
It's
a
cool, man.
sailor, although I
No.
may have my own yacht. I don't know if I want a yacht, but like,
Yeah. No, to do it, you be yourself, man.
don't
Be
cast a
yourself.
stone on me, Joel. Don't cast any stones on me.
I will repent, man. Repent, right?
I do repent. I sin
I'm
less. I
kidding, man.
sin, yeah. But it's kind of like, for example, you get me. Like, I don't really give a fuck what anybody else thinks around me. It's like when you have those ideas, kind of like how you said, when you're gonna express your own voice, you're gonna do all these things specifically. You kind of that takes courage, man. Because it takes massive courage.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are gonna, you get me, judge you. They're gonna do all these things. But those are the people that at the end of the day are gonna be remembered
Yeah.
because you stood for something. The
Yeah.
whole world will remember Joe Montiel because he stood for something. You get me, especially if he keeps practicing his voice. You get me, and he's on this like stop on this rocket ride, and it's sustainable success because his mindset, he built it from the inside. It's not like one of those get rich quick lottery ticket guys and then they're broke. Joel's an actual success. He's
For
the
sure.
vice president of companies. He's trained other guys
Yeah.
to become wildly successful, right? And priding himself, you get me, on those well worth achievements, and then boom, onto the next thing, instantly, and running with that because that's a piece of who you are. It's a piece of yours, right? It's a gift, and it continues to blossom and grow like a tree naturally, automatically now, and it did. So all these things, you get me, in life, you're right. It's things that, you get me, a lot of people could kind of just take value from. I mean, Joel, what's your perspective on, like, I don't know, like what's your perspective on chasing your dreams, man? Because that can be a daunting thing, I think, a lot of the time. That can be scary for a lot of people. Like, what gives you the courage to chase your dreams? Joel, can you hear me? I don't, did you time out? Huh. Let me see. I think it might be the connection. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, all right. Well, we're gonna have to do part two. Who knows? Maybe this will get edited. Pretty cool, right? I have a protein shake.
Okay. All right. Are we good now? Are we
It's
recording?
chocolatey. It's a chocolatey protein shake. It's the best protein shake in the world. It's better than warm, hot chocolate from the Germany, right fresh from the Swedish places of it, put together, and it explodes in your mouth. But it's healthy. So it's a healthy protein shake. That sounds like it tastes good, right?
Is this your
It tastes better like that.
is this your
Better
first
than that.
is this your first ad? Is this your first
This isn't.
commercial on a podcast?
Oh, that would be good, right? It would be a good commercial because it didn't sound
You
like
can't
one.
give them free real estate, man. Nothing's free. You're talking about there's gonna be thousands of viewers. You can't give out anything for free.
I
You
want to give
know.
a lot of stuff out for free, dude. I just want other people to become successful. And I know you're very similar to that. And by the
Yeah.
way, that's how you are remembered forever. Like, one of the things, and you don't have to believe in this, or you can play with this idea. It's kind of like a
You're
lot of
recording,
these.
right?
I am.
Okay. Good. Good. Good.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. One of the things is, like, for example, like, when you're always giving, and you literally, like at a level where it's like, put it like this. This is Andrew Carnegie's business model. I cracked it when I was younger. I'm going to give you more. I'm going to ask for less. I'm not going to forget about myself while I'm creating value for everybody else along the way. I was the person that created value for everybody else along the way. I still march to the beat of my drum. I'm going to give you more. I'm going to take less. He brought down the price of steel. He gave everybody so much more monopoly.
Yeah.
So I know. So it's like, oh shit. I mean, if we want to,
Well,
like,
think about Facebook, think about Twitter, think about it doesn't cost money to get on Facebook, it doesn't cost money to get on
it's
Instagram,
so
it doesn't cost
scary
money to get on
nowadays, but it is
TikTok.
free. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
it
right.
is. It's scary, man.
It's
I don't know.
scary. It is. You're right. I mean, when you
What do you
got, no, go
What do you
ahead, ask
think?
your question.
What do you think on goals? Because we left off where it's like you had so much courage. You get me, and it takes courage to chase your dreams.
Hmm.
What
What
are
I
your
think about
thoughts on that?
goals,
Yeah, and like your dreams, and the courage behind it, and somebody that might be scared, and then somebody that's living it, and why that's important to you, and then the values under that, and that passion under
yeah.
all of it, that burning flame, the ember, or however
I,
you want to, like, or lightning, or
I think, to be honest with you, this might shock some people. This is just the way that's worked better for me, and I don't know if it's a personality thing or if it's just a universal thing. I honestly think setting goals is super overrated
Okay.
because
Awesome. Awesome. This is good.
because
Yes.
it's just so broad. It's like everyone has the same goals. You want to make money, you want to help other people, but like, so I think that is, and Daniel talked about the leading indicators and the lagging indicators. And I truly believe that. I mostly believe in like setting actual habits, like daily habits, because that's things that you can track, right? There's a difference between the leading indicators and the lagging indicators. The lagging indicators were like, I want to lose 30 pounds, right? 30 pounds, that's a lagging indicator. Or it might be vice versa, but the leading indicator, that's the, I want to go on a run every day for 30 minutes, because that's what's going to get you, to that. And the 30 pounds that lags, right? That's why it's called a lagging indicator, right? Because that'll eventually come, but it's only going to come if you keep track of those daily things, right? Those KPIs, right? That they talk about in sales, for example. So a lot of people, that's why I don't hate, but every time I see like people on New Year's, set those goals up for like, I want to lose 50 pounds. And although it's great and I like seeing it and I want to see people change and I'm glad and I clap and I'm like, you can do it. I think until people start keeping track of their daily habits, nothing's going to change. I'm sure you've read the book. I think I have it right here. What is it called? Um,
Which one?
Atomic Habit. It's a good book. It's a big book right now too. Atomic Habit.
Is it the Power of Habit or is it Atomic Habit?
Atomic Habit. Yeah, it's a newer
I'm
book,
not
but it's
sure. I don't
great.
think I have.
And it talks about
What's it
how,
about?
yeah, it's all about how the smallest little habit can lead you to either succeed or not succeed. It talks about like with the big, like, let me ask this: what do you think is the biggest addiction in the world right now? Biggest
A bad mindset.
bad mindset. Let's talk about like the universal actual addictions. Like, I know what you
What
mean,
do you
but
think? What do you think one of the worst ones would be right now?
um, I'd say probably pornography is probably the worst, 100%. And so, and the reason why I bring that up, I'm going to backtrack. It talked about, like, for example, how like the chances of you watching porn at the end of the day or at the night, whenever you decide to, whenever people decide to do it, it all starts from the beginning of your day of what things that you did. For example, um, like there was a study done to where like if a person ate candy throughout their day, it would increase their chances of watching porn by like 50%. And the
Really?
reason,
Whoa.
yeah, it was a crazy stat. And the reason why is because, first of all, like if a person was trying to take care of himself, they broke that little habit, right? Which is, he wasn't supposed to eat the candy, but he did it. And although it doesn't really affect you that much at that second, it broke the habit in your mind. You lied to yourself already one time. Then what do? What does that lead to? All right. Well, maybe you spend a little too much time on Instagram. You tell yourself you're going to limit yourself to 30 minutes on Instagram, 100, 1 hour on Instagram, unless you go over that, right? And although that's not watching porn, you broke that little habit that you had. And what does that lead to? That leads to, you doing something else. And then the small little habit turns into a big habit that you've set up for yourself,
Yeah.
that it was like a no-brainer. And all of a sudden you're sitting there and it's like, okay, I messed up, and you're
Because of the
watching porn.
momentum
It was a momentum. Yeah. And so it talks
of
about,
that.
yeah, it talks about like the littlest habit that you shouldn't have broke, that you broke in the beginning of the day or whenever. Those are the ones that you need to pay attention to. You shouldn't be worried about, you shouldn't really be worried about much of, I don't want to stumble upon this page or this or that when it comes to specific, situation. But you more so want to keep track of those little habits that nobody thinks about, that are actually going to lead you to the momentum to lead to the big whatever. And this is with
Yeah.
anything. This is with, if you want to quit smoking, if you want to quit drinking, if you like whatever, right? Or if you want to lose X amount of pounds, right? It all starts with, if you can't keep those little habits that, although may not seem important, you're not going to end up hitting those lagging indicators, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. And just the habits of it. Can you go more into detail of that? I mean, I think that's really, really intelligent. Like I have read goals books and stuff as well. You get me, like Brian Tracy, like a lot of his goal
Yeah.
programs and such. And I know you've read a bunch of them, but I mean, this is really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I like it so much is in sales. Like I always tell my
I keep
salespeople, like,
I keep track of my sales goals.
yeah,
That's where I was like,
Yeah,
Like
and you
the call,
do
the
like
intro, the every
you you
single
you
specific
you
thing.
want to hit you want to be able to have actual long-term goals. But if you're not keeping track of your KPIs or
That's what I
your
meant as well.
yeah,
Like
if you're not keeping track of those things,
KPIs, like very.
then we can't figure out what the problem is. Like I've had salespeople that first start and like, Joe, I can't get a sale. And I was like, well, how many calls are you doing? Well, I don't know. I haven't kept track. Well, let's keep track, because then we don't know where to find the problem, right? If we can't find the problem, we can't provide solutions. And so I think it's so important to keep track of the things that we can control, because if it's like if you're putting in 50 calls, right, and we can eventually figure out what the ratio is with you, how many you'll be able to go, the best salespeople that like I've seen can go into a day and say, if I make 10 calls, this how many sales are going to be, because that's what they can track, and they'll know that it leads to that based on
Right.
repetition and based on past results. And so too many people focus on if they don't hit a if they don't hit a goal, if they don't lose 30 pounds, they get upset. Well, you should be focused on things that you can control. To an extent, you control that, but if you're not keeping track of the smaller things that will make sense. Bradley was talking about this. He did a video the other day about how you get fat
Yeah.
eating donuts. It was the funniest thing.
And
And he's like,
every
well,
$1 million drops like I think like 20 pounds.
yeah. And he was like, well, you can't get fat
I'm
eating
just
one
kidding.
donut. You can't get fat eating one donut. And it's true, right? But that one donut turns into two, turns into 20, turns into 100 over a span of certain years. And all of a sudden you're sitting there 300 pounds. Like, what the heck happened? Like, no
Yeah.
one gets fat on purpose, right? Like, no one says, like, oh, I'm going to gain weight the next couple of years. You do it because those habits are so small and you don't keep track of them that,
They
boom, all of a
compound on
sudden
themselves,
they compound themselves.
which they do,
Exactly.
by the way.
Yeah, they do. And it's in the deeper you get into it without keeping track, the harder it is to get out.
It's true, man. You're so right, Joel. Genuinely.
Yeah. That's big. That's why I have a lot of respect for people that are like very overweight and lose a ton of weight, because it's freaking hard. When
It's
you've
like the
developed all those
abyss.
when you've developed those, like when people do that, like that's why I love what's his name, the black guy
Which
who like
one?
is always running. He's always running. The military guy, the veteran guy.
Goggins?
Goggins. That's why I love him so much. Like
Goggins.
he put himself in such a bad position for so long, and he was able to get out of it, and like he literally can do anything. Like his
Yeah,
level
he's
of pain
nuts.
tolerance is unbelievable. Yeah, crazy guy. Good guy to follow though.
Strive for that in like your own way. Yeah, that's like that's what I meant earlier about like having like a higher standard of excellence, and then the way that you're saying it now, because you identified it with that way, and it's the exact same thing, and you're constantly raising the bar for yourself, right? Whatever that bar is for you, and then raising it higher and higher and higher. Whatever that bar is for you, and then raising it higher and higher and higher, and so forth.
For sure. No, I completely agree. I think if more people understood the daily habits, like the small ones, like even ones that like you wouldn't even think of, like we'd be way better off. We would have more successful people, more people would be making more money, less people would have to backtrack certain mistakes and all that stuff. So no, habits is important. That's one thing that I've noticed with a lot of wealthy people is their habits. It's like it's
Right.
nothing else. It's what habits they have every single day, that they do on holidays, that they do on when their daughters are born, when like on those even those special days, the habits that they do day in and day out that makes them get to that point. Because same thing happened. It's like when I talk to millionaires, and I talk to them every day, I'm one of them's my boss, like they didn't it wasn't like it was the same way that when you think about like when you gain all this weight, where it's like it doesn't happen overnight, and then this just for them it was like they did all these habits, and then all of a sudden one day they're like, wait a second, like I'm an actual millionaire. It's not like you go from one to another, but it's those daily habits that are going to help you there, that will lead to whatever those goals that you've set. That makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I don't know if you want to continue with it or not. I mean, I think that's like really smart. A lot of the time, people they won't. They'll kind of just lose themselves,
Yeah,
and they're kind of like flying towards what they want. One, they don't know what they want, so they're not
for
clear. And
sure.
two, they have like a blindfold on. They're not keeping track of anything,
Yeah.
right? And it starts by like becoming like self-aware with yourself,
Oh,
and
for
kind of
sure.
beginning to build on what you want, and then measuring those metrics, those
Yeah.
KPIs. And it's like, okay, do you want to go on with it or not? Because I mean, geez, dude, I mean, this is I'm even getting a more in-depth version of it
Yeah.
from you. So I'm like,
No,
oh my
no.
gosh.
Maybe we're gonna need a part two because I do have to get going. So I hate to cut it.
Okay,
I went
that's
over what I
awesome,
thought
dude.
I was gonna go, but no, it was good.
Oh
I
my
had
god,
fun, dude. I enjoyed it. It was fun, man. Seriously.
it was awesome having you, Joel.
There you go. Appreciate that. Is that another? I keep trying to like see what NLP stuff you're trying to do on me. Is that another like
Dude, no.
hypnosis? I'm like, what is? I don't know if it's a hypnosis lie. Like, what's going on here? What is it? Because
You
I always
won't.
try to be self-aware.
That's where it's most effective because you don't know when it's happening when it's don't when it's not, and that's why it's more effective.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm always the type of a person where I try to study people. I'm like trying to figure out what they're trying to do.
I'm the
That's just
same
like you
way. I
mentioned.
like the
You
human
mentioned earlier.
relations, social dynamics. Like
Yeah, I,
you
I
learn
like
from
this.
that. You like that a
Yeah,
lot.
I do. I do. I do.
Do you have any final words that you want to leave the guys with and the girls?
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to leave out the girls. You're gonna have problems in 2021 if you leave out the girls. But
I'll get slapped. I'm okay with it.
yeah, but no,
I'm
man. It's
just
it's
kidding. Don't take it too serious. Go
yeah.
on.
I think for
Hang
any
around.
yeah for anybody listening, like I'm just another dude trying to work hard and trying to make their parents proud and their future wife and future kids proud. And I think, you have to have the foundation of work ethic. You got to put yourself out there. You got to get yourself uncomfortable. You got to, study people it's so simple. The people that want to complicate it so much, study people that have done it before and just copy them. I hate to put it that way, but just,
Modeling them,
yeah, modeling them, if you want to put it that way.
copying
I don't
them.
want to be too, yeah. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I modeling them is a better way of saying that.
Same
I
thing.
appreciate that. Yeah, but it's out there and you can do it. And like I said, dude, I'm like, there's nothing special that I had. I wasn't, on some special occasion, nor do I think, I'm a special type of person. I'm just a regular dude and anybody can do it. And I think that's it. Like, that's the message. And especially with more people that I'm trying to reach, it's possible. I think we're both young, but I think very soon here, a lot of people are going to know our names. And I think it's important for people to see where we're coming from, where we start, how our process is. And it's going to be a fun ride for sure.
There's this thing in the Bible where it says it's according to your faith,
Yeah,
and especially if your intentions and you're aligned with yourself. That's it.
that's it.
It's scripture, and
Yeah.
I mean, again, according to the thing, it's so yeah. Like with because I a lot of the time people will have doubt, and you've probably had this, and I know you got to go in just a second.
Yeah.
And then, for example, the entire world will be against them. There'll be all this noise. It'll be chaotic. There'll be somehow everything will be going towards them. The deck is not stacked in their favor, but somehow they reshuffled it and they ended up playing the cards the way that they wanted intended to because their faith was just there. And then all these opportunities started happening and they never actually knew why. Maybe
You
many were
started
called,
falling.
few were chosen, and maybe they just acted on it. Um,
Mm.
uh, right. And it's like according, and then having the humility to give all the glory to like the one above, where it's like, dude, I'm nothing to be honest with you.
Mm.
I'm not anything. I'll never be anything. I have this vision and I have all these things that in the natural world I've helped a lot of people. I'm going to continue helping people. You're one of the guests. You're helping a lot of people right now. And we're giving all these things, but from one second to another, you can get wiped out. So
Yeah.
it's like, let's serve others. And it's like, yeah, I mean, all the glory goes to him. At the end of the day, you get me. It's going to be all for that. My purpose is just serving others. And I plan on
Amen.
doing
Yeah.
a lot of other things, but I mean, that's just the higher purpose. When if I
Yeah.
die, if I've remembered, which I got a feeling I will be, and it's like I all of it went back to him. And I'm gonna keep sharing that through all of it, the same way I
Yeah.
just did now.
Yeah. No, that's what we're called to be. We all have, God given abilities, and
Yeah, like you're a
some of
great
them,
salesperson, by the way,
yeah, I appreciate that. And we have to use it. We have to use it. We have to keep working at it as well. I
and
think
trainer.
yeah, I think more people, just my final thing, if more people focused more on what are my God gifted abilities versus like what's going to be my career, you'd be so much better off. You'd be happier. You'd make a bigger impact. And so, everyone's has different gifts. Your gift might not be selling, might not be communications. It might be something else, and that is okay, right? And if we focus on, working on our own gifts, making them better, right? Because even Scripture says, the whole the sermon of you had the three people, and one of them, dug his talents under the ground, and the other ones actually went and invested it, got a return. God was happy with that. So I think we should do the same thing with our gifts. We should invest in our gifts, make them better, so that we can continue to expand God's kingdom. But not only that, just help people, be the light in the darkness that we're, have in this world. So no, that's all good stuff.
Where could people find you on social media, Joel?
Yeah. So you got it right there. Just Joel
I do.
Montiel. Yeah, Joel Montiel with the M in the middle. So Joel M Montiel, and all my social media is under that same exact username. Right? I am on LinkedIn. I don't have a YouTube channel. I think I'm going to start one soon, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, Joel, it was great having you pass by. Thanks for sharing those final words. You guys can catch him on social media right there. And we'll see you on the next one.